Welcome to the Pan-African News Network Global, home to the naked truth about Africa. For far too long, African stories have been told by the hunter. Time has come for Africa to tell her own story. At Pan-African News Network, the hunted are now telling their truth and nothing but the truth. Welcome to the Pan-African News Network Global.
Ambassador, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are back in Zimbabwe. You traveled to America.
Yes, you are a slave driver. I just arrived. You're dragging me back in the studio. And yes, always happy to be home again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, thank you so much for coming back. So last time we spoke about South Africa. They were planning for the 13th of June for their March and March. But we hear the demonstrations are still continuing and they are marching every Thursday. So what is your take?
Okay, I take it you're talking about the Afrophobia situation taking place in South Africa. That is a very, very, very sad state of affairs. Before I answer your question, let me give you my take on what is going on in South Africa. You know, the United States is a melting pot where people from all over the world, they come to America. And it's a place that so many different experiments have been made in terms of our relations as human beings around the world. South Africa was turning out to be a melting pot for Africa, much like the United States. I feel that there was a missed opportunity by not realizing that with that many Africans from different parts of Africa under one roof, so to speak, under one country, imagine a situation where they would all have said, I'm coming from Malawi, I'm coming from Ghana, I'm coming from Somalia, I'm coming from Zimbabwe. We're all victims of the same system, the same oppressive systems that are keeping us where the world has wanted black people to be. The same black people in South Africa who are abusing, beating, killing other Africans, they themselves, their living conditions are very similar to the living conditions where these other people, Africans, are coming from. So these are people with common suffrage, people we should have a common agenda, who must understand that my brother's problem is just like mine. So the sooner we come together as people who are oppressed economically, how can we create a formidable force that we can then send a strong message to our governments, to the African Union, to say, here we are, together, united. We're speaking as Somalis, we're speaking as Ethiopians, we're speaking as Nigerians, we're speaking as Zambians, we're speaking as Congolese. And these are our wishes. These are the problems. How long is it going to take for you African leaders to fix the simple issues of employment of our youth? Job creation. It's not because there's no money. We all know it. South Africa is one of the richest African countries. There is no reason why the unemployment rate should be so high in South Africa. Even if you were to remove all the foreigners all the immigrants in South Africa, there is still going to be unemployment in South Africa. How are you going to address that? That is a common denominator of what is going on in South Africa. I would have loved to see a situation where these people from different parts of Africa would have come together and created an organization that would have been very powerful. An organization that will address Africa's problems from the core. Because what the black people in South Africa are facing is no different, economically that is, from what other blacks are facing in other African countries. We miss that boat. We miss that conversation that really needs to be dealt with. Then I take it to another level to say, we're black people. We must, first and foremost, respect each other. We must love each other. Think of Jews. They may not like each other. There are some who hate each other with a passion. But when it comes to the issues of their Jewishness, the issues of Israel, they stick together like superglue. Even though outside that big umbrella issue, they fight each other like cats and dogs. Why are we continuing to suffer from the legacy of colonization and the rule of divide and conquer? That is my biggest problem with what is happening in South Africa. We are missing the real issues which need to be addressed, not just as South Africa, because South Africa alone cannot survive. The issues that need to be addressed as an African continent. The issues that we must understand, my Ghanaian brother, my Nigerian brother, my Sierra Leone brother. We're in it together. Africa is this gigantic ship that is leaking. And until we come together, identify the problems, identify the commonalities, and begin to address them with one voice, it doesn't matter what South Africa does. All the immigrants can leave South Africa today, but the problems for black South Africans are not going to change until the black South Africans themselves realize that much like they needed the rest of the world for South Africa to be free of apartheid, South Africa must realize that they are still going to need the rest of Africa for South Africa to be the prosperous, successful South Africa that it should be.
The issue is on remuneration, because
yes.
if you are going to bring back the diaspora, someone cannot live a salary of 40,000 rands, or let's say it's $2,000, then to come back to Zimbabwe. It's a downgrade, and so if that is going to be...
No, 40,000 rands is actually about 2,000. It's just a little bit over $2,000. So I think 2,000, I can tell you, if they start paying doctors $2,000, a lot of doctors will come back. Because really, they would rather be here in Zimbabwe. The average doctor would rather be home to the place where they were born. But because of these economic issues, they find themselves migrating in search of greener pastures. So it is what it is, and but an effort must be made to try to repatriate the brains. Unity of purpose among us Africans is rule number one. Unity of purpose among us Africans is the first step, and love for one another. I simply cannot fathom how a black South African can have it within them to beat up another black man simply because they are from another country. To kill them in some cases simply because they are from another country. What kind of venom is that? What drives you to look at another black man, black woman, and kill them and not feel something? For a country that the world came together, and many countries, many African countries, financial support to make sure that the same black people in South Africa are liberated, to then forget all that and just have no mercy at your fellow black people. I struggle to comprehend that. It's very sad, it's disappointing, and as an African, it's embarrassing, because we're supposed to be talking of a united Africa. Our Pan-African fathers, when they met in May of 1963, they wanted to create an Africa that spoke with one voice, an Africa that was united, an Africa that had commonality that they were going to build upon. A single monetary policy, single military, central bank, all the pillars of development. We are struggling 65 years later to finish the unfinished business that our Pan-African fathers started. And then South Africa, you have an opportunity that you got all those other Africans from different parts of Africa. Instead of bringing them together, understanding ourselves and saying, let's have a bigger, louder voice and speak to our leadership. I understand what South Africans are saying. Oh, you must go back home and make your leaders fix your country. Guess what? You have the same problem. Your country is not fixed either. You have the same problem. Your country is not fixed either. So the sooner you guys come up with a different strategy and look at each other as brothers and sisters, children of the same mother Africa, and let's find African solutions to African problems. But we, the Africans, must articulate our issues when an opportunity arises. Let's do it together. And South Africa is a missed opportunity for that very important conversation of unity.
Thank you. So maybe they need to understand what are the real issues that they have to deal with. What are these core problems which you are mentioning?
Right. For example, in South Africa, South Africans, economically, they've never been liberated. They're still struggling. Majority of the wealth is in the hands of the white people. The next level will be the Indians, but the black people are still struggling. If you look at the shanty towns in South Africa, you've been to South Africa, you've seen it. Some neighborhoods, you look at it, you can't believe anybody lives there. You know, I was traveling with my daughter one time, we were on a highway, and I said, hey, we were passing a shanty town. And I said, look over to your left, what do you see? And she said, it's a junkyard. And then in front of us, there was a bridge, and there were people walking. I said, look in front of you, what do you see? She said, I see an overpass, people are walking. I said, well, those people are going home to that junkyard you're talking about. People live there, nurses, school teachers. Are you with me? And they're the same people walking out of those conditions, and they want to beat up a fellow African brother who is in the very similar situation. You know what really would be interesting is if South Africans would also go to other nations and see for themselves that maybe, just maybe, their life will be better, their opportunity will be better in another country than in South Africa. You know, look at a country like the United States. You could live in New York, but if you can't find something for you in New York, guess what? Maybe there's something for you in Michigan. Maybe there's something for you in California. And people migrate within the United States of America, and they find their opportunity. If we can allow that migration throughout Africa, free movement of people, maybe your opportunity as a South African is there in another country, so you no longer have to live in that shanty town. But have you also gone to President Ramaphosa and say, how long are we going to continue to have these shanty towns? They're still there. They were there before independence. They are still there how many years after independence? You know, so this is where we are, over 30 years, 32 years since independence. So are you having those conversations? Unemployment rate still very high in South Africa. It was there before the immigrants from other countries came. That it continues to be there. So getting rid of the immigrant is not going to solve your problem as a black South African who is struggling. The reason there's such high crime rate in South Africa is because of poverty and unemployment. This has nothing to do with the immigrants from other African countries. Crime is rampant in South Africa, probably the worst in Africa. When I was doing my general surgery, I did a research paper on management of stab wounds to the abdomen. And I was doing research on all the stab wounds in different hospitals, trauma centers around the world. Guess which country had the highest number of stab wounds? Baragwanath Hospital in Johannesburg. Baragwanath had the highest number of stab wounds per day in the world. Baragwanath Hospital. And this goes back before independence. I was doing my residency in the 80s. So crime is a serious issue because of poverty and unemployment. Those are pivotal issues that must be addressed at the high level. But to then try and blame all of it on the recent immigrants, it's so sad because they're failing to address the real issue. Or really having a good global understanding of the issues and how things work. And really identifying the real enemy. If you don't identify the enemy and you don't call the enemy by name, you'll be chasing your tail and going nowhere. The South African situation, as an African, I feel embarrassed that we are treating each other that way. It's a missed opportunity.
It's actually the poor fighting the poor.
Yes. It's poor people fighting each other. People with nothing fighting each other. And as usual, we are used as instruments of our own self-destruction. And there are some in their corners somewhere laughing at us and enjoying the charade. And once again, we continue to look stupid. Sadly.
This is the broader scope of the problem that we are having in East Africa.
Yeah, yes.
The poor people. So South Africa is just a melting point where we are seeing the poor attacking the poor.
Yeah.
But I think the message should be sent to the African leaders to say, look at your people here.
Oh, I think that message is also being sent to the African leaders as well. I just think that it would have been a bigger message if it was done in a united way. To simply say, look at us. I left my country, I left Eritrea, I left Mozambique because of ABC. A Somali comes out, I left because of this. Zambia says that, well, I left because of this. You media people, go there, talk to them. Let's hear from them. And they'll soon realize that there are issues, there are common problems. Yes. So they should unite towards a common purpose and begin to send a strong message to their leadership. I agree with those who are raising the issue of immigrants, that they must go back and rebuild their country. But you're not different. You're not telling your country to fix your country. There you go. So you could be spending this time talking to President Ramaphosa and saying, fix this country. Why are we still having these shanty towns 32 years after independence? There's still homelessness in South Africa. Talk to President Ramaphosa. Why is crime so rampant in South Africa? White South Africans, from what I hear, they are leaving South Africa, coming to live in Zimbabwe because it's safer. But they won't tell you that. You know, so while black Zimbabweans are going to South Africa, white South Africans are coming to Zimbabwe because they live a safer and more comfortable life in Zimbabwe. Migration. Some are going to Zambia. Some are going to Malawi. White people running away from South Africa because of crime, going to the neighboring African countries. Is anybody talking about that? I meet them all the time, and they tell me, and they're coming in quietly. They don't talk about it. They just come in quietly, get their home, they go to South Africa to do business, and they exit back into Zimbabwe. Are you with me?
Maybe those who do that are the privileged ones. We have got the money to travel.
Definitely the privileged ones, yes.
But the poor South African only sees the immigrant as the enemy.
They only see the immigrant as the enemy. But I think you raised also another very important point when you talked about this is the issue of ignorance of our own young people. Demonstrating without a clear agenda, without a clear global bird's eye view of the issues. And so they demonstrate based on little knowledge. They lack the broader understanding exactly of and how things work. You take, for example, the situation that happened in Tanzania, October 29 last year during their elections. Oh my goodness, the children, the youth, they really misbehaved. And then when I started reading the results of the report that was put out, how there were camps in the bushes, camps in homes, where the young people were being trained, being taught how to strategize on how to destroy the country and disrupt the elections, with NGOs paying our young people. Started months before the elections, just to stop the elections. Now, if you look at it, you are being told you demonstrate to stop the elections. So if the elections didn't take place in Tanzania on the 29th of October last year, what would have happened to Tanzania on October 30th? You set police stations on fire. They were planning on setting the port of Dar es Salaam on fire. They were wanting to disrupt the railway system that's currently under construction. They took picks and digging up tarred roads. They've set combi buses on fire, the same buses that your mother and grandmother used for transport. None of it made sense. Did they stop to think about what they were doing? Or they were only looking at the few dollars that they were given to do this? You look at the same thing in Kenya. Kenya, the young people started with a good reason. There was a bill in Parliament they disagreed with.
That financial
they made
bill.
it very clear that that was why they were demonstrating, and we commended them for that. However, somewhere along the way, NGOs came in, they started giving them money, and before you know it, that leadership that had put together a nice reason to protest, they were now being infiltrated. They were being given a few dollars, and the whole thing slowly started falling apart. So our children are being used, are being weaponized as instruments of our own self-destruction. What do we need to do to help them see the warning signs when an NGO is being too nice to you, when a foreign embassy is being too nice to you, when you're being invited to certain situations? They court you like they are courting a man courting a woman. So we need to have certain conversations in our homes with our children so they cannot fall victims to
Of course, yeah.